Welcome to the Beyond the Sound podcast. Here at Beyond the Sound, we explore and discuss music and arts happenings in the Salvation Army Northwest Division, serving Washington State, Northern Idaho, and Western Montana. I am your host, John Opina, Divisional Music and Gospel Arts Director, and I am joined by my co-host,
Heath Almanza, Assistant Director for the Division.
And this is episode 13. We don't have an agenda for today. We're just kind of talking off the cuff. So what do you want to talk about?
This could require a lot of edits.
Well, now that you say that. Okay, so let's start off with a hot topic. And the thing that I want to talk about is, I'm not sure if you've seen it on TikTok or social media, but the Dove Awards happened a couple weeks ago. Do you know what the Dove Awards are?
I do not.
It's like the Grammys for Christian artists.
Okay.
Right? So we're talking about like Chris Tomlin, Phil Wickham, all those people. And one of the more prolific artists this year, Forrest Frank, decided to skip the Dove Awards. And he says this: as a Christian artist, I dress kind of like the world. I kind of look like the world. My music can kind of sound like the world. So where's the line in the sand drawn? I'm convicted personally that a line I can draw is that I will not receive a trophy for something that is from Jesus and for Jesus. He continues, I don't know if I even want to step on the stage. I don't know if I want to step in the room. And so I've decided to take a stance of non-participation. I will not be attending the Doves or the Grammys. And it continues. We'll just keep going. The trophy is that my name is listed in the book of life and I get to have eternal life. What good is a piece of metal going to do compared to that? No, this is not a refusal to be a light in dark places. This is a refusal to go on stages and get awards. I already got the greatest award of all time. And I came across this because there is a podcast that I found on YouTube. I think it's called Ruslan HKD or something like that. Anyway, their podcast, I think it's called Among the Pagans. And they did an interview with Forrest Frank and Corey Asbury when they were talking about this. And Corey was talking about the money in the industry, like the amount of money that goes into the industry. And all these people who get their music published by and produced by these major record labels, they're given a lot of money to perform at these events and all this stuff. And at the heart of the issue, Forrest was just like, no, I don't need any of that or any of that kind of recognition. And it brought some heat. Let's see if I can find the quote. And this was from Jelly Roll, who has won 3 Dove Awards. So he says, won't receive a trophy, talking about Forrest Frank, for something from Jesus for Jesus, but will take the profits from something from Jesus for Jesus. Maybe I'm missing something there. LOL.
I'm assuming Forrest Frank has won before.
No.
He's not won an award from... He's
no,
not won
so
a Dove Award or Grammy, anything?
In a response video and in another podcast interview, he specifically says he didn't want to produce music or make music for the reason of monetizing or external rewards or whatever like that. And he finally came out with the song last year or something like that, that was kind of like his way of saying okay, the Lord has blessed me to do this. The Lord has given me kind of the go ahead to make music in his name. But yeah, so I guess the heart of the issue is he doesn't want to be awarded, given a human, manly, a human award for a heavenly job. I don't know. So you probably don't have any context on that, but what are your kind of thoughts? And some of the reasons that other artists like Jeremy Riddle, who was with Bethel Music for a while, and I think he's down in Vineyard now in LA. And he goes on to say that everything that the Dove Award stands for, what it stands by. It's judging and critiquing, awarding someone whose music is elevated higher or viewed higher than someone else's, and that it actually goes against like biblical principles of like putting one person over another, in terms of like judgment. And then they say, he also goes on to say that, oh, like the dove, which is a representation of like the Holy Spirit, is being used in the sense of like judgment and critiquing and awarding people in a fashion that is seen from human eyes and not necessarily godly eyes. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any?
Yeah, I'm trying to look up real quick. If you say he hasn't won before, but that feels like he did, and he's a little.
So Forrest Frank actually won Artist of the Year this year.
Okay.
This year, but he wasn't there to receive it.
But what about 2024? He didn't win anything for 2024.
I don't know.
New artist. So he won new artist for 2024. Okay, so that a little more context. I feel like I don't know because I haven't seen, say, his acceptance speech. Assuming he did one for 2024, but it seems like he's uncomfortable with the recognition that comes from doing things in the Lord's name, that he thinks the recognition should go to Jesus rather than himself, is what it seems like. So some recognition of this earth he feels undeserving of is maybe what I would lead into that with. I mean, Jelly Roll saying that, taking the profits rather than the admiration, I see the hypocrisy in that, but I'm sure it's more a studio thing rather than.
So just to like kind of go off of what you said, he responds. So Forrest Frank responds to Jelly Roll, and he actually says like, "Oh, we had a conversation. We're all good, like whatever." But in the response video, like Forrest Frank like says he produces all his own music and he does all his own stuff, right? So he's not assigned to like a record label or whatever. So he just responds, I produce all my own stuff. Like I don't outsource. He probably outsources some things, but it's not like Sony, doing. And so he essentially says like all the money that's earned from that goes directly to him. It's not like he's doing this for some major record label. And then he just goes, what I do with that money, then it's none of your concern. Essentially, I could tithe 10%, I could tithe 90%, like whatever. It doesn't really matter. So I think to combat what Jelly Roll said, like, oh, you're making money off of these people, but you don't want to accept an award. But like Forrest is like, well, this is my job. Like this is how I make a living. Like imagine if, put it into context, what would Phil Lager do if he's producing all his own music and he's all of a sudden like up for like Artist of the Year or whatever. He's been fairly vocal on the little money that you get from like Spotify as a Spotify artist. He has like thousands of plays, but I think he said like the royalties are like pennies or something.
Yeah. I guess what my point was going to be was that what Jelly Roll might see as virtue signaling, I would probably lean on it being more organic, more genuine from Forrest Frank, just simply because he's not out there, right? I know what Phil Wickham looks like. I know what Chandler Moore looks like. I know what a lot of those more prominent artists look like. And somebody who won Artist of the Year, I have no idea what he looks like. He could be bald, no curly hair. I have no clue. So I think it's a genuine thing on his part. I just think I probably would have taken the trophy myself, but
yo, what up?
Because you can always give the glory to God. There's nothing really. I could see why you might be uncomfortable with that. Like I don't thrive under applause, right? Say if in a performance setting, if it's me doing a solo, then I did what I intended to do. You don't need to applaud me. It's nice. It feels somewhat validating, but
yeah.
That's not why I'm there. So I'm sure that's partially his perspective. He's not there for that reason. So that's probably why he wanted to remove himself from the scenario. But it's an interesting thing. I probably wouldn't. If I chose not to do it, I probably wouldn't announce it. I'd just be like, I'm not going to be there. Sorry.
Yeah, like, imagine if, like, because what's his name? Russell Wilson. Like, he was a outspoken, like, Christian, here in the Seattle area.
Mhm.
Like, imagine him at the Super Bowl winning, and then he just, like, stays in the locker room, as they're presenting the trophy. It's like, oh, wait, where's Russell? It's like, nah, man, this is, like, I'm not playing for me. I'm playing for Jesus, Like, that'd be interesting stance, I think, to take on a national televised. Okay, so it kind of leads into this whole idea of, like, Christian industry.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the podcast episodes, Corey Asbury talks about like the beast that CCLI is, right? Christian copyright licensing. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with CCLI, but in order to just have lyrics printed or projected from, like, any kind of worship song, you need to have this license. And it's based off of church size, and there's various levels, right? So THQ pays the West's CCLI license, which is like the umbrella. And then obviously if you want Song Select, which is access to charts and stuff like that, you have to pay for that, which there's various subscription levels, because you can just get chords or, like, lead sheets. And then there's a streaming license, which if you want to stream your services, that's another license, right? But Corey is taking aim at the Christian industry of, like, this is for God's people. Why are we charging, like, so much money for us to use, like, Christian material? And he actually says that, like, his song Reckless Love, which, shout out to Colonel Tim, that's your favorite song in the world. He was saying that Reckless Love was like number one for like 2 years. And he said just from that being on the top of the chart, he made millions.
Wow.
Just from that. And, like, he kind of talks about, like, friends telling him, like, hey, just be prepared for, like, crazy money. Like, make sure you have, like, a tax advisor or a tax person. And Corey's like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I'm not going to make that much money off of this. And he goes on to say, but yeah, after 2 years, like, I was making millions off of that. But, like, what's your take on that kind of, like, let's tackle that specifically, because I think the record music producing industry is an entirely separate thing. Let's just talk about Christian copyright license. Like, should that be a thing? So on and so forth. And I think the heart of the issue will be right after this.
I think we're about to open up a whole can of worms here. I mean, it all comes down to capitalism.
Exactly.
That's all it is, right? It's somebody, no matter how devout they are in the church, they might be corrupted by the dollar.
I understand that, like, there is time and resources, right, devoted
Sure.
to some of these things.
You got to pay for the server. You got to pay for the domain. You got to pay for all the upkeep. And I'm sure they probably have people that write out those chord charts and lead sheets and all that. But
I'd be curious to see what their profits are.
But, like, at the same time, I can just go on YouTube and look up any song and find the tutorial for any instrument in that band for free.
Yeah, but if you use those lyrics, right? So, like, if you're going to print those lyrics on the program, or say, like, This Is Amazing Grace.
Mm-hmm.
If you print those lyrics or project them, you have to have the license, right? So you can learn the song, and I guess you can just sing it, with no lyrics, and just teach the congregation that way, which that's probably not a terrible way to teach a song. But Yeah, just to do that, you have to have.
But people do
at
need to
lea-
opt into this, right? Because I think Forrest Frank is not on CCLI.
Correct.
So
I think it has to do with who produces,
yeah.
and the record label and all that stuff.
But I'm sure there's more than just him, right?
Sure.
But the bigger groups like Elevation, Hillsong, all them, they're probably all on there.
Yeah, and let's just say you have, I think, the base CCLI is like $110. Let's just do a quick little math. So $110. We have 31 sites, 28. Let's just say 28 sites, units here in the Northwest. That's $3,000 just for the base
Per year.
Yeah, you have the opportunity or the ability to print lyrics. Let's say the Western Territory has 100 units across the territory. That's probably low.
Yeah.
That's 11,000 per year.
But that's just our portion. You said the THQ pays for part of the licensing, right?
No, I think that's like the smallest that you can get, like the cheapest. Because I think the church size is, I think the smallest is A,
I think the better,
which is like
example
up to
would be,
50.
Like, let's say, is Christ the King Church up in Bellingham? Is that just, are they their own thing? They're their own single church. There's not like an array of Christ the King churches.
Correct.
So them, what would they have to pay? What would a single church have to shell out per year? Gotta love these sirens. I feel like every time we record in this room,
Yeah.
something's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. So they do have like campus licenses, but the services have to happen at the same time, I think. At least I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But let's just say, I mean, because like for us, we're the Salvation Army, but Seattle White Center and Seattle Temple are two distinct different things.
Yeah.
So, okay, according to Google, there are between 350,000 to 400,000 churches. Let's take the conservative amount, so 110 times 350,000. That's $38.5 million just for your base CCLI.
Wow.
And it leads me to my next point. Music in the Salvation Army. So the general series is 200. You want to help me do some math?
What you got?
Okay, so we have 210 pounds. Just put 220. Just add $10. The Triumphs, this is all digital. The Triumph series is 160. The Unity series is 115. The Judge Street collection, all 7, is 300. Oh, sorry. Digital is 270 for Judge Street. The brass charts is 100. The ABJ from New York is 70. The AIES from the South is 30. Vocal stuff, the Sing to the Lord mixed is 15. The mixed audio stuff is 30. The Sing to the Lord children's voices is 6. The children's voices audio is 10. We'll give that a moment.
One eternity later.
Okay, so how much is that right there?
These are all annual.
Yeah.
1,026.
1,026. Okay, now not every core location subscribes to the music, right? Because not every core location has a band or songsters or even a worship team or whatever. But you make that worldwide. We're in 132 countries, right? I can't imagine the money that they're making off of that. So here's the question. Should we, as a Salvation Army, be paying to use our own material?
Yeah, I think only because you're covering the publication costs, because these all seem pretty low. Some of them, not all of them.
Okay, so let's just take that initial answer. Do you think that so Elevation probably has 2 campuses, right? So do you think they charge their Tennessee campus to use their music? So Goodbye Yesterday. Hey, we played this at whatever campus, the North Carolina campus, on Sunday. Or we heard you guys do it on Sunday. We're going to use it at our South Carolina campus. And they go, okay, well, that'll be $50.
I don't know. I mean, it could be, I don't think proprietary is the right word, but you know what I mean? Where it's, in-house. But with Army stuff, since it is a global thing rather than a 2-campus thing, I think that's kind of like comparing apples to space rocks. It's a little hard to measure out.
Sure. But then there are no royalties. I think my wife, who has one, published in ABJ, I think she was given $40, from.
Are you looking at this from a perspective of it's all money from the same source?
I'm looking at the same
source.
I'm looking at the perspective of I don't think we should be paying anything to use our music.
I mean, I could see that argument.
Because that journal, that American Band Journal, was probably purchased, let's say 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And what was that number? The ABJ, $60, I think. She didn't receive any royalties from that. So all that money then is just going to the Salvation Army, Eastern Territory, who published that.
So let's use Kevin Larson as an example, right? Kevin is exclusively writes for Army purposes at this point. I think, no?
No. He's on, I can't remember his name, but he's part of a publication team in the UK. Woodburn Music? Ooh, I can't remember.
Okay, maybe a bad example. But the stuff he writes to the Army, he doesn't really see any returns on, right? It's just pennies on the dollar for work he would have done.
That's true. However, he is paid to write.
Right.
That is his job.
That's his gig. But he's not not a commissioned writer, at least in Army terms. Well, I mean, he is in the point where it's like, hey, write us something, not, hey, I need you to write me something. Here's, $1,000 to write it.
Right. I've kind of been on this horse for a few years now, and I don't understand, I guess, why we need to charge, especially when you have digital music. You don't need to print anything, right? That could be more difficult for some other countries that don't have the same resources. But if you could still make money selling this music to outside groups, right? It's almost like paying to use our facilities, almost. That is a little bit more practical because there's employees and all that stuff that goes along with it. But I don't know. Obviously there's a typesetter. There's someone who needs to market all this stuff. So there's some costs associated with it. But I don't know. I just feel the need of why do we need to charge our people to use our own music?
Well, because otherwise it would be incumbent on, say, the Eastern Territory to provide for the globe, right? Sure, it's still just the Salvation Army that you're providing for, but is it the responsibility financially for, say, the Eastern Territory to pay the money for printing, engraving? There's many steps into producing this print music, right?
Sure.
Packaging, binding, all that. So, I think you're really just covering the cost is what most of these seem like, these numbers. I mean, there's some that are larger, but I think there's more turnout rather than, say, $6 for It's a Small World After All every so often.
Sure. So let's say, yeah, I don't honestly come at this from the point of view of, I don't know how much any of this costs to do. Imagine if like Paul wrote Ephesians or whatever, sent it to the church, and like those letters were circulated, right? It didn't just stay in that at that particular church. It was like, hey, this is for like this stuff can be used at other, like the church in Ephesus, right? There's whatever. Imagine if he goes, hey, if you copy this and you send it somewhere, you have to send me some money. Now we do that, right? We have to pay for almost every Bible that we pay or that we buy, unless you use the YouVersion app on your phone, which is technically quote unquote free, right? But like, imagine if Jesus came back and like, hey man, I'm just gonna say, like, you quoted me in the lifetime of this church, let's say Seattle Temple.
Where's my revenue?
Yeah, you quoted my red scripture, my red print scripture, let's say 1 million times, and you only gave me 2%, of total tithe. Like, where's the rest, buddy? Like, can you imagine? I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe it's a moot point. I just don't think we should be spending money, because that's a deterrent. That could be a deterrent for places who don't have money, right? To get some of these materials, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, I'm sure, but I think we're mostly just covering the cost. So because otherwise, like, what would it be if they did it for profit? Because looking at these numbers, I don't see a profit margin, just based on what I've observed from these publications. So I would just, again, I assume we're covering just the cost.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take Kevin, for example, who writes all the brass charts. $100 a year. That's how many? So he said 100 units.
I think it's 60 per year. That might be too much. It might be 40.
What? No, I read it. It was 100.
100. I know it's $100. I'm saying how many? What do they produce?
Oh, 40.
40 a year.
Yeah,
that's the goal now. But it's not just Kevin that writes it.
Correct.
I think Dave Dickinson did the most recent one.
Yes. Yeah. That's very true. Now, if he writes it all, or David Dickinson writes it, you could just throw all that in Dorico, print it out, send it. He's not getting paid commission off of the sales of brass charts. At least I don't think so. If he is, hey, good on you, Kevin. But I don't think so. Like, he's literally paid to write.
Yeah.
Right. So, what overhead, other than his salary, like what other overhead is there? I'm not sure how much the cost is of getting like the rights.
Probably that. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of the things I think about often. Like,
why compare it though? Because
why do we charge?
If we have the brass music charts, right, which are really written to act as like a supplement to the praise and worship time, right? It's whatever your in-house brass band, be it a trio, quintet, or a full band. It's for them to add some color to the songs, as opposed to, say, you get the actual praise charts. You're going to be paying a lot more for those praise charts per item,
sure,
than you would for, like, say, anything that's going to be published on the brass music charts.
Yeah, I think like the full orchestration on praise charts is like $70 per song.
Yeah, and that's almost the full cost of
the
brass charts subscription. So,
but you get everything. You get like a rhythm section,
14 different keys.
Yeah, that you have treble, bass, different clefs.
It has its uses for sure.
So yeah,
but they're two different things. Right?
Yeah, very. Yeah, I don't know. I think about that, and I just think, why? It's almost like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. All that to say, and like to continue on, is like, I don't think Army music what did we sing at our church on Sunday? What were the songs we sang? I know they were in G.
Oh, you talking about the praise songs?
Yeah.
Good Father, we ended join so House of the Lord and Potter's Hand.
Right, so House of the Lord, not Army produced. Potter's Hand, not Army produced.
But you said is in the tune book.
Correct.
Okay. Good father.
Right. So it's interesting that like we're paying all this money to use Salvation music when like I don't know. We don't even use our music. Like I don't know. It's weird. Okay, let's move on. It is the season of change. It is October, and there are leaves changing all over already. It's a beautiful time of the year. You lived in Boston.
Sure did.
And what was the fall like for you over there? Was it? I mean, I don't think you ever stepped outside, but
Well, unlike the Pirates who don't do anything, I have been to Boston in the fall. That's a deep cut if anyone gets that reference. Yeah, it's great. It lasts for all of a month, I think, and then it just becomes a snowy abyss and miserable. It's hard to get your car out in the morning sometimes because it freezes over. So it's tough. But the fall is really nice. But when it turns to winter, it's time to go.
yeah, I think Kat was looking at a TikTok this morning, and it was like fall in different parts of the country. So Northwest and I think Boston, and then northern New England with like New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Man, those are beautiful parts of the country. But also change at the time of this recording, you are still with us here in the Northwest, but you won't be for very long. That sounds morbid, but it's not. Tell us what's next for you.
It does sound a little sad. I recently accepted the position of the Divisional Music and Worship Arts Director for the Golden State Division. So I will be Central California bound, I suppose, here in just a matter of weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. So I think your last day is November 15th, which is our concert with the Breath of Air Choir. And I think your first day in Golden State is when?
Is the following Monday.
So the 17th. So you got a day to get down there to kind of find a place to sleep and then report for duty.
Yeah, thankfully my sister lives in Walnut Creek, so it's a little east of Oakland, so I have a place to at least rest my head at night for a brief spell. But yeah, it's a little stressful at this stage because there's a lot of unknowns, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, it's funny because I think when we moved from San Francisco to Cascade, we had left. It was a family camp weekend, so we loaded up the trailer, which we got a small trailer. The thing was packed to the roof of that trailer. Shout out to my brother and Chad who helped pack. We drove. I think we stopped packing at like 2 a.m. Woke up at 5 or 6 a.m. Drove to Oregon. I think I reported on that Tuesday. So, yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah, the closer we get to it, I might ask for a Tuesday instead of Monday. Like maybe I'll say, hey, let me take that floating holiday there.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be a quick turnaround for sure because I think it's pretty much right after the concert. Better get some sleep.
Yeah.
Time to go.
Okay, so along with that, here are some top 3 things we'll discuss and ask you. What are the top 3 things that you will miss about the Northwest?
Friends.
We have friends. No, I'm kidding.
Like, seeing you guys on a fairly regular basis has been a blessing, and we go way back, so it'll be tough to have to turn that into a less often occurrence. I think working with a lot of the youth here, because we've seen, I haven't been here terribly long. I think it's a little over 2 years, but that's 3 camps for me. That's 3 encores, I think. So it's a good amount of experience with some of these youth. And so working with these kids, granted I'll be working with new people, but working with these kids that I've seen grow for the couple of years has been really rewarding and really nice. And so I'll miss that for sure. And then lastly, I can't really say the food. It's not been stellar here. There's pockets, of course, but probably I guess a little bit of the seasons, because it won't be the same in Golden State as it is here, which I did miss. Leaving Boston, as much as I detest the winters there, it was a huge contrast from say like a San Diego where it's only ever hot or hoodie weather, right? Those are the two. So yeah, friends or youth, and then seasons.
What are the top 3 things or lessons you've learned in your time here?
Well, learning what not to do is a tremendous part of the learning experience.
Yeah. Yeah. What works, what doesn't?
Yeah. Things I've learned. Well, I didn't play drums or teach drums before coming here. So that's definitely up there, getting me out of my shell for certain aspects. Is I was pretty much only ever, a trombone guy. Definitely learned a lot more as far as CCM material.
Yeah. Contemporary Christian music.
Yeah. I guess I think I've been good at building relationships, but it's been heightened here. And then really just getting me out of my shell in general.
Yeah, I think there was a time in history where there's a lot of specialization in the DMDs, right? They were either pianists or instrumentalists, or there were a number that were composers as well. Obviously, Kevin used to be a DMD. He was a composer. But I think we're finding now that there are many DMDs with no particular specialization. We're all of it, right? So, even though I'm a brass player formally, I guess, whatever that means, in my time as a DMD, I've had to become a worship leader. I've had to become, an AV specialist, lighting guru, teach piano, guitar, ukulele, voice even, and a little bit of drums. And so I think part of the time with having you here of like, these are the things like a modern DMD needs to be able to do. And some of those challenges that I kind of threw your way.
Got to wear many hats is the best way to describe it, I think.
Yeah. What are some of the things you're looking forward to the most in Golden State?
Well, it'll be a lot closer to some of my family. So my mom is in San Diego. Like I said, my sister lives in that area. So
Walnut Creek. Enjoy that traffic. You think traffic here in Seattle is bad?
Well, I've heard about the BART transportation.
That bridge.
So I'll probably give that a go for a while. I don't think I want to do the driving. I'm tired of traffic enough up here. It's funny actually. Before coming up here, I would sit in traffic like to work and home, and it was always the worst. Like I'm going, which should be a 15-minute drive, was over an hour both times, like each way. And I just remember, like after I got hired, he was like, "I can't wait to not be in this kind of traffic ever again." And then,
lo and behold,
I found out real quick.
3-hour commutes.
But what am I looking forward to the most? So yeah, being a little closer to family would be great. Just the opportunity to, see what they're currently working with. I know, Chad got some things off the ground, and I know they have some programs running currently with divisional groups, primarily the youth, but some of the conversations we had, the phone call I had before the interview, during the interview, there was some topics that we covered regarding the youth and getting their involvement. And they seem really gung-ho with some of the ideas that we had here as far as like, getting them more involved in the DYR, for example. So it'll be interesting to see where it's all at and how quickly things can shape. Right.
Yeah, you're lucky because, Lillian is there. You have Curtis Helms, who's there. I think Everett Bernal is still there in Fresno. So there's like a nice nucleus of like young adults, older teens.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what's all out there presently. I'm a little dreading what may or may not exist as far as like inventory, as far as any spreadsheet, anything to account for items.
Sure. Yeah.
We did have it kind of lucky but we were working off an old list here, I think from when Evan was here.
I think.
But so I'm anxiously awaiting that to see what's there to work with, and if I got to do some hunting, I'm assuming yes. yeah, really just looking forward to the opportunities that are going to be present down there and seeing what we can encourage, change around, work with. Just looking forward to everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, San Francisco is a beautiful. The Golden State Division is a beautiful place. You know, it's not just San Francisco. I apologize, you Golden State folk. It obviously goes down to
San Jose, a little further.
Further, it goes down to where's Pebble Beach? It goes down to Monterey, so it goes down to the Monterey Peninsula on the coast. Inland, it goes down as Bakersfield. That's not great. You got the cow patches you have to drive through. Yeah. And then I'm not sure if there's still full-on units, but you have Ridgecrest and Bishop. Bishop from DHQ, if the mountain pass is open, 6 hours. If it's not, you got like a 13-hour drive ahead of you because you got to go down to Bakersfield and then around the bottom of the mountain and then up through Ridgecrest and then up to Bishop. That is a long drive. I remember my first Christmas, and I know people aren't looking at a map, but these are not friendly areas to go. I think I had a Modesto Kettle Kickoff, followed by a Gilroy Kettle Kickoff, followed by like a Fresno Kettle Kickoff, then like a San Jose, Santa Clara, then I think there was men's camp in there somewhere, and then Kettle Kickoff in San Francisco. And it was just like, they were almost like back to back to back. So I'd finish an event, drive 5 hours, stay in a hotel, do that event, drive another handful of hours, stay in a hotel. It was brutal.
Wow.
So hopefully they've kind of changed how they do their events. I know the divisions changed a little bit. I don't think there's as many cores as there were when I was there. But yeah, I think you're in for a treat there. So here's my kind of top words of advice. One would be enjoy your time. It's a pretty diverse area, kind of like the Pacific Northwest. You have the mountains that you can go to. You have the beach. Pacifica, where we used to live, fantastic. You have Taco Bell there, #1 rated Taco Bell in the world. It's a thing.
What?
Yeah, it's right. I think it's the salt water. Like, it's a thing, dude.
Okay.
It's a thing. So enjoy that. There's a lot of great places to hike. The redwoods down near Santa Cruz and further down are just absolutely gorgeous. Camp River Glen has a great field. They spent like $2 million on there on a turf field, I think.
I have been there.
Fantastic place. I have this gnarly scar on my knee from my first WMI when there was not the turf field. So a lot of busted ankles on that field prior to the turf field. So enjoy your time. My next word of advice would be to find allies of the music program. And this is not just within the Army, right? Obviously, people within the Army want to support Army music, fine, whatever. But it's really those outside, relationships that you want to have. I've told you this name before, Grant Knox down at San Jose. He went to the Lexington Corps when I was there. Shout out to Dr. Nathan Miller, who brought him into the fold. So he's a good contact to have. There was a guy when we were there, his wife, Elizabeth Folger, yes, of the Folger Coffee Company, was on the board of the San Francisco Symphony. And he went to the Kroc Center for music stuff. I think he actually started lessons with my wife when she was there. And he became like an ardent ally of all our music stuff when we were there. I don't think he continued when we left, but you hit it on the head already of relationships. I think that's like that's probably the most important thing about our job, right? Other relationship building. Because if you can find like solid ground with the kids or the adults, they'll support you, as best they can. But if there's no relationship there's no like real opportunity for investment on their side, right? If you're not investing in them, they're not going to feel the need to invest in you. So, and I think the last one, and I'm not sure how many DMDs kind of think in this way, but like think of your role really as like a worship pastor, right? Like, and that kind of like encompasses all those things underneath, right? As like a worship pastor, you got to be worried about the heart and souls of your people, right? Obviously, there's music that needs to be done at a level that that you want. There's a culture that needs to be developed, but really the heart of the job is as a worship pastor. And I would just encourage you to continue like developing that side of it, and developing the people around you. Yeah, so those would be my top words of advice. Top places to eat. Here we go.
In and out.
But
In and out. In and out.
that's fine. You have Mazzetti's Bakery. That's in Pacifica.
I think Kat was mentioning that too. Tell us a little bit about Mazzetti's Bakery.
So Mazzetti's Bakery. So we used to live at the Bluffs in Pacifica, and to get to the highway, we had to cross this bridge, turn left. At that corner was Mazzetti's Bakery, and then the freeway on-ramp was there. My first Christmas, I think I would stop there almost every day because I was leaving the office at like 5:30, or leaving the house at like 5:30, 6 a.m. to get to some of these events. And so I'd stop by this bakery almost every day. If you're a Northwesterner, is that under term? Think of like a heartier top pot.
Oh, okay.
Like heavy, but so good.
Like heavy on the side of voodoo?
Dense. Like they're dense.
Like a voodoo?
Voodoo's terrible. I don't like voodoo.
But dense.
Yeah. But like, I think they're like cake. They're considered cake donuts, like cake batter, whatever donuts. So yeah, they're so good. Their maple bar was, whew. Okay, so Mazzetti's. You have Ling Nam Bakery, which is past Daly City. Anyway, they have this thing there called Señorita bread. And do you recall like the first time you went to like a Krispy Kreme and had like their hot off the belt?
Yeah.
Explain that experience.
Well, honestly, I thought it was overrated.
Like it's hot.
Yeah,
it's
like
fresh.
a warm, it's kind of like cotton candy to me, Krispy Kreme. But yes, hot, fresh.
It just melts in your mouth almost like cotton candy.
Yeah, exactly.
So Señorita bread, they're like they call it Spanish rolls, I guess, other places, and they're like mini croissants ish. They're so good, dude. Like you have no idea.
Is this on par with National City Pan de Sal?
More addictive.
Okay,
Like
that's dangerous.
yes, and it almost got to the point where like I would bring them into DHQ like once a month, and there would be both tears of joy and like sighs of anger, like, oh, I'm on a diet or something like that, people trying to eat well. They're so good. Oh man. If there are a couple other places that you can go, Senior Sisig, it's a Filipino fusion place, Filipino and like Mexican food, which is interesting because like the Spanish influence on the Philippines is already like that. So whatever. But they do like a chicken adobo burrito that is to die for. Their main one is obviously a sisig burrito. That one's so good. If you like deli sandwiches, there's a place called Little Luca's. I'm sure Chad can show you where that is. Or shout out to Sarai, who's at DHQ there. She will know where that is. There's also a wing place near there where she lives, actually. I can't remember the name of it, but just ask her where it is. It's like I know you like B-dubs. B-dubs is garbage. In
They're
my opinion,
consistent.
consistently garbage. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm like the biggest fan.
Consistently
they're just consistent.
overcooked. Yeah.
Sometimes a little undercooked.
She'll tell you where the wing place is. I can't remember the name of it. And I can't remember the name of this pizza place, but it's down near Little Luca's. It is like the closest I've ever gotten to like New York style pizza. Which I'm not sure if you like that. I like it.
I don't mind it. I just prefer like a nice wood fireplace, like
Ojo's or something.
No, what was it called?
Augie's.
Back in Boston. Oh man, Woody's. I think I took you there one time, maybe. That place was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, so many good places to eat. Yeah, I know Kat doesn't really think of San Francisco as like a food town. I think she thinks Seattle is better, which I love you, babe. I don't think so. Like, Seattle is below. I think Seattle would be below like New York City.
You did put it to me early on that it's overpriced and underserved, I think, portion size.
Here in Seattle?
Yeah.
Yes. 1,000%.
And I can honestly say, yes, that's very accurate.
San Francisco, yeah, there's a lot of like, I mean, I guess like here you have like Cap Hill, right, and all those other places where they have like their own little cuisines. There's the Haight District. There's some really good places to eat there. Dang, man,
I'm sorry, did you say the Haight District?
Yeah, the Haight, Haight, I think.
Oh, okay, that's not what I thought you were saying.
The Haight. There are little maps that you can find on. Yeah, they're funny. But yeah, so we are definitely going to miss you. I know the core will miss you. Obviously, we'll miss you, working here. What does that mean for the department and what we do? That's a really good question. Obviously, we've cut the department in half now, so I can't really make up your other half because that's just physically impossible. What that means for Christmas for us, I really don't know. I don't. There's so many. I know there's uncertainty on your end. There's a lot of uncertainty on my end as well. Of just like, how are we going to do these things? But before we end, if you had like a closing thought to just give our listeners here of the Beyond the Sound podcast, mainly people here in the Northwest Division, what would be some like farewell thoughts?
I think there's a lot of good here. There's a lot of genuine intentionality behind, not only what we do, but who we serve. Some I'd say take it for granted, but I don't know that that's anything other than just like it's always going to be here. That sort of perspective. Like there's no way this wouldn't be around at all times, right? And so, with that, hopefully, maybe this will spark a little bit of change from some that seemingly do take what we do for granted. I think there's, working with some of our youth and a lot of our peers, it's been just a tremendous opportunity here. And there's been so much growth that I've seen, interest in things that, maybe wouldn't be of interest before. Eastside has a drum line. That wasn't the thing before. Granted, that's mostly because they want to win trophies.
Yeah, and they can't do singing company this year because they won 2 years in a row.
But there is growth, and I think there's genuine interest within that growth. So I'm happy with where things are currently for this division. I'm really excited to see where they end up going to. After I leave, I don't like feeling like I'm leaving anything shorthanded or leaving you guys hanging, and so it's definitely mixed emotions in going down to Golden State. It's bittersweet. It's nice to be given my own opportunity. It's I'm really grateful for that. It's a shame that it comes at the trade-off of leaving a lot of this behind, but it's not to say that I won't interact with or see a lot of these people again, Encore's,
or potentially return in like
I guess there's that too.
a year.
But you got Encore, you got WMI, I think being where I'm at, I would guess that I'll probably end up seeing some people again at what's the one that we never do? Is it Yar?
Yeah, young adult retreat.
Yeah. So I think I'll still be able to see like a Jonah develop, over time, or a Kobe, a Jesslyn. I'll be able to see that growth still from afar. So it's nice to know that in the day and age that we live in, that's a reality that we also live in. So I think just continue what everybody's doing. Everybody's on a great path. Don't take anything for granted, and just enjoy the process.
Yeah, right on. As we've done since the beginning, do you have any shout outs?
Specifically for this pod, I'll shout out Jesslyn on Itsuka Adams. I think I shouted out her brother last time. But Jesslyn so I've given her one of my breathing tools, so she can just have it because I don't want Jesslyn cooties when I get it back.
Like when you breathe through your mouth or your nose?
So it's, was it the breath builder? So it's the tube with the ping pong ball.
Oh, you get like the hospital.
Yeah. So you breathe into that, and the idea is to keep the ping pong ball afloat at all times. So I gave her that to just sit on the couch when you're watching TV, blow into this thing, just keep the air flowing. Because the overall message I've had with her is that Jesslyn who breathes to have a conversation with her friend at school is different than Jesslyn who breathes to play her instrument. Like it cannot be the same, because if you do, then it's just gonna have this tiny little sound. But if you breathe, like with intention to play this instrument and to have some airflow, then your sound is amazing. And so, she's really been putting in the work as far as the breathing goes. We've tried all sorts of different things with her, breathing into that tube, or laying down and having mom poke her belly for, for assistance there, just to visualize things. But she's really grasping it. And I think that's, there's some growth in her sound. And then she's
still in cornet
as well too. Yeah. Well, she's yet to bring her trumpet from school, so she's just using the cornet at the core. But there's some promise there, and I'd like to see that continue on. So hopefully she can take with you again at some point.
Yeah, I know we mentioned inventory earlier, but if you need a cornet, I have one for sale. a Besson 180th anniversary Sovereign with the main slide tuning trigger. And I'll cut you a good deal. I think my shout out we've probably given her a shout out before, probably even recently. So I apologize if I'm monopolizing, but I think Julia Fankhauser she stepped up as the dance teacher now at Everett Core. She's putting herself out there at school in terms of like musical theater stuff. I think she won't be at programs today because she has a callback. But she's kind of like stepped up over the last, really since summer, of stepping up at the core. Our core kids, ever since we started doing this mandatory performance the first Sunday of the month, some of them have like really stepped up. Paxton's learning praise and worship piano now, and he actually did a fairly good job last Friday. So we'll see what how the next youth Sunday comes along. But yeah, I think Julia's developing into a nice young leader.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to keep on encouraging young people.
I'm not sure you mentioned it because I might have missed it, but she's also doing praise and worship at her school.
Oh,
part
is she?
of the team.
Yeah, nice. I know Daniel Lyons. He had surgery recently. He had like 32 stones in his kidney, I think.
Ooh.
that he got removed. So, yeah. So there's a lot of good things. I'll echo what you said. There's a lot of good things happening in our division right now. Hopefully we can keep that momentum going. Do you have like a verse or a song that you want to share?
This just popped in my head. totally unrelated. Well, related to the Daniel thing. You would think with the amount of monsters that we drink, we'd develop a kidney stone or two by now.
I don't know. I can barely walk, dude. My back. I'm sure if I had an MRI done.
I thought you had X-ray. That's what it
X-rays,
is.
yeah. Yeah. I'm sure if I had an MRI done or a CAT scan, they'd show something back there, but like I can't. It's so hard to move. So painful.
A song.
I'll go first.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of I played this earlier, but I was sitting in chapel yesterday at the piano, trying to stretch out my back, and Captain Liz was talking about how in the Old Testament, when God proved faithful, they would make altars out of stone or whatever, and they're all over the place. And as like a joke, I was gonna play "Remember Me." Remember me, do 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 do. But I couldn't find it on my iPad. But the song "Remembrance" came up, and I looked at it. I was like, "Wait, this sounds familiar." And so I re-listened to it, and I forgot just how good this song is. So if you're listening out there, the song is called "Remembrance" by Hillsong, and whatever you think about Hillsong's like dealings or whatever, don't let it alter the fact that they have some really good music and really good words. And just part of the bridge here just says, "If ever I should lose my way, if ever I deny your grace, remind me of the price you paid. Hallelujah, I live in remembrance. As far as heights reach from the depths, as far as east is from the west, so far your grace has carried me. Until I see you face to face, until at last I've won my race. Remind me you're not finished yet. Hallelujah, I live in remembrance." Just a great song. So if you haven't heard it, take some time to listen to it and just reflect on like the goodness of God and how He's brought you through till now, and trust that He'll bring you through the next thing.
I think for me, it's primarily the melody that I just keep coming back to. That's just so beautiful. But lyrically and through message, it's also like really powerful stuff. But all to honor Jesus, City of Light. This is a beautiful tune, and it's fun trying to work on that guitar part. It's not easy, but man, it is just a really lovely tune. All to honor Jesus, but it's honor like HONOUR. I think it just really kind of touches on hope and just striving to live in honoring Jesus throughout your life, throughout your days. So I think that's really powerful. But again, it really just kind of comes down to the melody for me. It's just so lovely. Just a beautiful tune. If you don't know it, listen to it.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
All right. Well, I'll let you do the final sign off since this is your last time.
Well, we'll see if I'm allowed to continue from
Yeah,
afar.
but I mean, we don't have the same.
Maybe need to rebrand. I don't know.
We don't have the same intro.
It's true.
Joined by my assistant, Guido Monza.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll have to rewrite some stuff.
So yeah, I still think like the Beyond the Sound still works. It's Beyond the Puget Sound. You know, we're talking music here.
Yeah, but lyrically it still says like here in the PNW.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a shame because it's so catchy.
Yeah.
Maybe we just keep it. I don't know. Maybe we just turn it into we'll trademark DMD chat. Steal it from Neil.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to sign us off.
I don't even know how we end this usually.
Me either, friend. Me either. Just do whatever comes natural.
Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Beyond the Sound podcast. This is the music department, Party of Two, signing off.
In the heart of the rain and evergreen trees, the mountains meet the sea, a place of peace. Melodies rising like the morning mist. We gather to learn, create, and exist. Beyond the sound, beyond the stage. We lift our voices, turn the page. A symphony of love, unbound. Here in the PNW, we go beyond the sound. brass to brush, from strings to song. Every hand and heart finds where they belong. In every note and color, every line and beat, we fill the world where souls can meet. Beyond the sound, beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, we lift our voices, turn the page. A symphony of love, unbound, here in the PNW, we go beyond the sound. From brass to brush, from strings to song, every hand and heart finds where they belong. In every note and color, every line and beat, we fill the world where souls can meet. Beyond the sound, beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, we lift our voices, turn the page.